Hello and welcome to our first faculty meeting of the 2014-2015 school year. My name is Brian Dawson, if you don't know who I am, and I am your principal. I'm very, very blessed to be able to serve alongside with all of you. As your principal, I want you to know that I'm committed to serving you and supporting you. I'm also committed to ensuring that everything we do is student-focused and everything we do is about helping our students reach their personal and maximum potential. I'm committed to ensuring that everything we do is about learning how to improve our practice and learning how to best serve all students to help them be prepared for the 21st century. But first, I hope that you're having a great summer. I hope that you're taking time to rest and relax so that you can be recharged to come back this school year. I hope that you've been able to travel somewhere, whether it's local or far away. Staycations to me are just as fun as sometimes going away far. I also hope that you're enjoying time with your family. We know that during the school year we get so busy that it's very hard to find that time. I personally want to say thank you for all the work that you've done. You all have worked so hard for our students. Thank you for your commitment. There's no question about your commitment towards excellence, but there's also no question about your commitment towards success for all our students. And it showed this school year, so we have a lot to be proud of. We know that the only way that we can continue serving the needs of all students is by finding ways that keep us connected to the 21st century learner and the 21st century learning modalities of our students. We have to think through the lens of learning that we personally might not have learned through. We have to think beyond where we were used to being comfortable. We also know that in order for us to keep our great ideas coming, we need to take a much needed break. It is amazing to me how many great ideas I've already heard from teachers this summer and last summer. You guys are a constant example of what continuous lifelong learning looks like. I would love to be able to say that this is where I went on my summer vacation. This is a dream for me to go, but not this summer. I'd be happy to take up collections from y'all if you want to send me there. I'm just joking. But I would love to travel up to the north to take a tour of all the lighthouses. But as a family, we're going to get to go to Destin, Florida. That's one of my most favorite places to go. My family loves it. That's probably my second choice for summer vacation. Our family is very excited. Ty and Hannah have already been signed up for surf camp in Galveston as well. I really look forward to hearing about your summer vacation. I hope that you are taking time to have some fun. Even if you have to work some, I hope you're having a lot of fun. I know that my family is very, very important to me, just as yours is, and I know that if you want to continue making sure that we can focus on our teaching and focus on other people's children, we have to focus on ours. This is one of the most peaceful views I've had the opportunity to see in the last couple of years, and I hope that you find some way to find a good time to get yourself grounded and reevaluate why you became a teacher. I hope that you take time to know what it is that drives you to teach students. I know as a parent, Amy and I both are very, very excited to have our children in Georgetown ISD. Hannah had an exceptional experience all the way through from her 6th grade to her 8th grade year here at Tippit Middle School. And Ty, just starting, has already had an amazing experience through his schooling. So I know that we'll continue to create an environment and a tradition of excellence for our students. And as you think about where you're headed, I hope you know that you're here by choice and that you're here because we chose the best of the best to come to Tippit Middle School. So I'd like to thank you for your personal interest in being here at Tippit Middle School. And I'd also like to thank you for making sure that when we have our students here at Tippit, they look forward to being here because they have fun learning. And we know that our expectations are high. We know that we don't apologize for having those high expectations. And you guys emulate to our students that learning is our priority. I'm so incredibly excited about the future. We are so looking forward to so many wonderful changes. As a principal, I'm so amazed and excited, and I can't even think of all the words that I want to be able to say about where our campuses come from and to where we are now. And then on top of that, we are embracing new ideas. We are thinking about ways that we've not thought of before. We are thinking about what the 21st century requires of us as an educator in order to reach all of our students. I'm also very excited because we have a new superintendent. We know that Mr. Lee has done a great job leading our district, and he has put us in a great place to come in and start. I'd like to remind all of you, if you haven't seen or if you haven't found out, this is Dr. Fred Brent. Dr. Fred Brent comes to us from Alvin ISD. He has officially been accepted and approved by our school board as our superintendent. He'll be starting in the middle of July. He's currently on a professional development trip. My understanding is he's in Rhode Island. However, I'd like you to look at the graphic underneath Dr. Brent's name. That's actually a graphic I took from Alvin ISD, and it actually had Alvin on there instead of Georgetown ISD, but I wanted you to see an example of some of the leadership that he's going to bring into our district. This is an initiative he started in his district, and it's going strong. He's a very progressive thinker. He told us in our principals meeting that his responsibility is to ensure that adults are learning so that we can ensure our students are learning. And I love that philosophy. So when we come to that, I want to welcome you to today. You have the opportunity to have another day. It's another chance to meet the needs of every single student, and I encourage you to feel free to change. The only way that we can continue moving forward is by realizing we have to change. So we want to stick with our foundational understandings that we are going to use RISE, respect, integrity, safety, and excellence as our mantra of guiding all of our students to help reach their personal and maximum potential. And we will set those expectations high for academics, for social issues, and environments, for behavior, for the whole child. We expect them to rise to their personal best. And if we expect that of our students, then we as educators and adults in the building must model that to our students. Sometimes that means we can't continue wearing those glasses that kind of give us that shaded view, and that means that we're going to have to be willing to take off those glasses and look at and being inquiring. We have to think about our own thinking. We have to explore other ways that we can be creative. Sometimes that might require us to look at some of our brutal facts. And brutal facts are not horrible things. It's just things that we need to understand what's working well, but what's not working well, so that we can move forward. You might not like it. I might not like it. But it's not about us. And that's hard for us. That's hard for me sometimes to take. But what it means is that we're going to have to do some stuff different. We might not like some of it in order to change, but we have to consider what is best for our students. Some of the things we find actually might surprise us, because I know for a fact that we are doing some things that are just right on the cusp of making some significant positive changes for our students. And it's okay to look around and see what's going on. We will continue looking to our neighbors, looking at other successful schools. We will continue encouraging each of us to collaborate in our building and collaborate in our contents. Because eventually we know we'll get it right and we'll look as amazing as we know we can. And our students will do a phenomenal job because we've led them and guided them, and most importantly, we have facilitated the learning process for them. So, here it is. I'm going to give you a challenge. It's reimagine learning. I want us to think about what we've accomplished with our students. I want us to think about what our students need to accomplish with all the new texts coming in, with the transition of math texts, with the new science and math adoptions of textbooks, all the amazing resources we're going to have. And I want you and me and everyone in this building to take the challenge of reimagining what learning should look like in our building. We talked about confronting the brutal facts, but we also have to have the faith that every single one of us can do whatever it takes to make sure our students reach that goal of excellence. So we have to be very, very careful with our choices. We look at certain ways, and if we continue down certain paths that we've always done, we will for sure see failure. And our goal is to try and evaluate what we're doing, work off of our strengths, but also identify those brutal facts so that we can get towards the path of every single one of our students reaching success. That means that every one of us are going to have to use our head and not over-rely on one or two people. We all have to be engaged and we all have to participate. That means we live in a world of no excuses. If it's important to you, and if it's important to me, then we will find a way. If it's not important to us, and if we're not committed, then it's very easy for us to find an excuse. I love this saying. It says, "I don't have time," is the grown-up version of "the dog ate my homework." There's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses and only results. It's not about being perfect, it's about effort. And when you bring that effort every single day, that's where transformation happens. And that is how change occurs. So what's holding us back? What's holding you back? What's holding you back is the thought that something is holding you back. Is that the possible question? Kind of reminds me of Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey. So when do we do it? When do we begin? When do we start? You're not sure? Someday? Tomorrow? Some might be thinking never. Hopefully that's none of you. My challenge to you as we begin our Reimagine Learning Challenge is we begin now. That means we're under construction. Under construction is okay. If we're going to make the right choices, we have to plan. We have to make things happen for us that will empower us to empower our students. We have to think very clearly about what we're going to do. We have to be willing to work collaboratively, not just between our contents. We have to include our students in that process as well. We here say that we're going to include all of our stakeholders, yet we never seem to adequately include our students in that process. So our theme this year is Own It. That means that we can't think about what's easiest for adults. We have to be focused on results of our professional learning, on our results of our student learning. We have to own it. Own it. Seriously, we need to own this. We know that the past cannot be changed. We should not forget about the past. We can't edit it and we can't erase it. We can accept it, and then by accepting it, we can accept the celebrations and we can accept the things that we need to change. There's nothing more powerful than owning our actions. That means we have to be accountable for everything that happens in this building. We can't look at whose fault it was. We look at how do we move forward in a positive, meaningful way for all of us in this building, students and adults. And we know that we only learn from our mistakes that we own. If we try to hide them, then we're not learning. We have to own it. And I think we've done a great job already of owning it. But that's our focus this year. We will own it. By confronting the brutal facts, we will have a reality check for several people. But that's the only way we will ever experience the growth that our students and our adults deserve on our campus. Because then we can look at students like this. This student, who the parent, when he first came here in 6th grade, was worried because the parent told me that he had never experienced success, and she was incredibly worried. She was very, very, very concerned. I assured the mother that we would do everything we could to take care of this kiddo. And in 7th grade, she came to me in tears for the opposite reason. Because not only was he doing okay, he was doing exceptionally well. And that's because of the amazing teachers we have and the commitment you all have to every single student. In order to move forward, we seek the truth. We don't hide it, we move forward. We have to look at what we're doing and its impact on learner outcomes. We look to make sure our stakeholders know what we're doing. We define our critical needs, and we develop a game plan. We focus on what is right for the needs of all learners. Then we begin the implementation, we look at the results, and then we begin the process all over again. No more can we live in the day of everything looks good from here. And I'm not saying that's where we as a school are. I'm saying that's where we are as a nation at times. We tend to ignore a problem, and then it's not a problem. However, we have to hit this head on. That means that we start looking at how we can support each other, finding appropriate strategies, constantly analyzing what we're doing, and then that's when we reach a true beginning of school transformation. So, our mission is school transformation. Student-centered schools with future-ready students. I'm confident we're not in a state of emergency. We're not in a state of crisis. We're at a point where great things are happening and great things will continue to happen. That means change is ahead. Change is hard for a lot of people, but change has to happen if we're going to continue moving forward in the way that we need to. I want to first talk about change. We have new staff members to Tippit. We have Corey Hendricks, who's going to be 8th grade math and algebra. Marcus Edmondson will be math interventions. Jessica Barr is going to join us for 8th grade science. Brian Taylor is going to join us for athletics and social studies. Marnie Hunsucker is officially ours. Instead of teaching with us as a long-term sub, she is going to be one of our full-time teachers in social studies. Stephanie Lane is joining us for 8th grade language arts. Tracy Brantley will be joining us for athletics and language arts. Linda Farrow will be teaching language arts on our campus. Crystal Rhodes will be joining us as a special education teacher. Dixie Strawn will be joining us for art. Wayne Simpson will be joining us for career technology education. And Joyce Davila will be a paraprofessional for special education. We had some rock star teachers that have made some other life choices, but I cannot tell you how excited I am. And sitting in these interviews, these staff members joining us are going to continue growing us, and they'll grow with us, but we are going to continue moving forward. I'm so excited about having them. So that leads us to, what do we define as a Tippit Titan? Last year we focused on raising expectations, a 5-star school that was providing 5-star service. This year we have to go even further. We identify what we're doing, and we own our choices, and we say, are we meeting what we expect to meet? We are so fortunate to have amazing rock star teachers like Miss Hill, our Teacher of the Year. But we have so many amazing teachers. Our campus has so many amazing things happening because of all of you. So when we talk to students and say, what do you want? What is going to set you up for success? I love this. I took this from another person that had it, but it says, where am I? My perfect classroom to learn is where I am, learning a lot, doing practical work, excited about the work, where other students are quiet at appropriate times, are nice and respectful, are working in groups and don't put you down, where the teacher interacts with the students and has respect for everyone. Only in math problems can you buy 60 cantaloupes and no one asks you, what the hell is wrong with you? I think that's true, but I think it's important for us to be able to take that same measure and identify to our students what it is that we're doing, but more importantly, why are we doing it? Students need to understand what we're doing, but students need to understand, more importantly, why it's important and relevant to their life. So when we evaluate where we're headed, we have to set our goals by defining what we need. And we have to want it, we have to believe it, we have to write it down, we have to split it up, we have to review it, we have to schedule it, then we do it. And then we repeat that cycle over and over. We know that actions are bigger than words. We, and I say we, me, you, everyone, we have to make things happen. And sometimes we look at things that might have seemed impossible in the past, but I'm confident they can be possible. We have to believe in it. We have to embrace it. We can't do the I don't, or we have to just go past that and really own what we're doing. So our mantra, one of the things that we met with as our instructional coaches was, what are we going to do as an instructional coach to support every single one of our teachers? And they came up with this. They said that their mantra is to support and guide or facilitate teachers in most current research-based instructional strategies, methodologies to ensure all students reach their maximum potential. Which means that we as a campus have to focus on student learning. And what does that mean? That we look at relevant, meaningful, student-driven learning, that we have an end in mind, and that everything we're doing is driven by data, relevant data, timely data, and ongoing data. That we really use that data to help every single student reach their personal and maximum potential, whether it's we're providing interventions or we're providing enrichment. We expect all students on our campus to make continuous growth. So, as a principal, my expectations for our instructional coaches are to help you and me and everyone else analyze various forms of data to identify needs and improve our instruction. It's a collaborative effort to help us gather and model best instructional practice, as well as to maybe go in your classroom and model it. Our ultimate goal of having our instructional coaches is to utilize their expertise to empower all of us to teach our students based upon our data. We've had an amazing experience with our instructional coaches, and I know they'll continue doing well. So the thought-provoking questions. Why do we do what we do? Do our teachers know? Do you know why we do what we do? How do we interrelate all TEKs to each other? Why is that important? We have to evaluate data. Why? How? Thinking about not only interventions but also enrichment. We have to understand our scope and sequence. We have to understand how we use it. How do we have resources that we know are going to help support us, not supplant, but support us in helping us reach all students? My challenge for you is to think about what are the top 3 strategies that we on our campus will use to ensure that we have a systematic approach to all student learning on our campus. Our scope and sequence. How do we use it? What are the top 3 needs you have as a campus? How do we build literacy connections, reading and writing across all disciplines? And we have to really understand why that's important for us. How can we ensure that all core disciplines support each other to bring relevance and empower engagement? Engagement is critical for all of our learners. We have to understand the difference between our RTI for our Tier 1, which means that we all work together to support student interventions. We begin the process of really understanding what the skill deficit is, and then we identify through our RTI process who qualifies for more intensive support, such as our Tier 2 and Tier 3. We have to really understand what differentiation means. We have to really understand when we have students in all of our quintiles who needs what, when, and how. That means we have to have a different approach. We have to look at where we're going. We can't just teach down the middle and hope that everybody gets it. That means we do small pockets of instruction, and then we break up into small groups, and we truly work through a differentiated process. We want to watch our students go from quintiles to quintiles, not going backwards, but going up. We expect every single student. And that means that we can't just have our students who are pre-AP staying, oh, yay, they passed. I expect them to move up. We need to all hold all of our learners to make progress. And we have to continue evaluating our school improvement planning stages. That means that we can't just dread it. We have to own it. Fall in love with the process and the results. They're going to come. Real transformation ruptures existing expectations and rallies all students and teachers around the goal of aiming for high intellectual performance. Nobody starts school expecting to fail. Yet failure is probably the number 1 in-school factor that causes students to become disaffected, uninterested, unmotivated, and disruptive. We have to think outside of the box, think outside of what we've already done, be willing to color outside of the lines. We have to think about what the environment is that we want for our campus, setting objectives and providing feedback, reinforcing effort and providing ongoing, consistent, appropriate recognition, creating opportunities frequently for cooperative learning, helping students develop understanding, cues, questions, and advanced organizers, helping students extend and apply their knowledge. We know that students can't just have it taught to them by somebody telling them. Students need to see, write, and use the new information as often as possible. Students who felt a sense of belonging were more highly motivated, had higher academic performance, and experienced a better quality of student learning when they did research by Osterman in 2000. That's a pretty given thing. We know that's actually the truth, but how often do we focus on ensuring that our relationships help our students feel like they belong? We have to think about our 21st century students. Think about what our data really means to us. We have to have accountable talk in our meetings and understand that we can't just have just one person leading the conversation. We all have to be engaged. We have to ask those probing questions that ask for evidence, ongoing evidence. We have to understand there's a difference between teaching and learning. So if we're going to focus on the 21st century learners, we have to think about how they think. We have to have metacognition of our thinking and have to allow metacognition of their thinking so that we can all understand our own thinking. We have to have the goal that we embrace the 21st century learner, that we let go of control and that we explore emerging tools, that we engage with our learners and we celebrate the amazing potential that's in front of us. So we have to think about who is the 21st century learner? How do they learn? What do they need? What do we need in order to support them? We want every one of our students to know that they are very well equipped and capable of going beyond high school. But we can't continue doing it the way we've always done it. We know that the learner of today is significantly different than the way you and I learned. Our brains are even made different. There's research stating that the brain, the way it's made up, the way it's thinking, the way it's interacting, the way that it is responding is significantly different than what it was when you and I were in school. So we have to think about everything. How do we help our students have academic achievement? We have to think about digital literacy, inventive thinking, effective communication, and high productivity through everything we teach. Looking at the Bloom's taxonomy and having a whole different understanding. Ensuring that when we apply, we know that we're really applying it to what we expect of our students in order for them to acclimate into the 21st century workforce and be successful. Connecting the elements so that we have to have a real collaborative approach to creating our course development. Having a full collegial approach and understanding our development. Having a true understanding that we're all here to learn and that we continually assess not only our students' learning but our learning, and that this is a continuous process of design and redesign. Our vision is a vision of K through 12 students today. Students will use engaging technologies and collaborative, inquiry-based learning environments with teachers who are willing and able to use technology's power to assist them in transforming knowledge and skills into products, solutions, and new information. That means we have to reevaluate our toolbox and make sure we have the most updated, state-of-the-art tools to serve us. So that means we have to be willing to just jump in. And it might be scary, but we can all do it. We want to make learning irresistible. We want engaging students to produce meaningful contributions. Remember, we're not in teaching for the income. We're in it for the outcome. So when I think of a teacher, and I think of you, and I think of me, I think of I facilitate thinking. I engage minds, I listen to questions, I encourage risk, I support struggle, I cultivate dreams, I learn every day, I teach. Looking for different ways to assess learning, different projects to allow students to show and model their learning, different ways to engage student minds. Then we have a whole lot to be very happy about. Thinking of why we do what we do. Why lesson plans? I get asked that often. Why is it important that we have lesson plans? Especially if our focus is reaching every student. We have to have very thought out, very deliberate lesson plans. We have to think about behavior in more than just one aspect, the cognitive, the affective, and the physical components attached to behavior and classroom management. We have to take it step by step and be willing to understand that we all have to try new things, that we have to explore, that we have to be willing to be vulnerable and take a risk. And we have to create that same climate and culture in our classrooms. We have to find different ways for students to show what they understand, not just a normal textbook assignment. We have to make sure our goal is clear, but we also have a plan to reach that goal. We have to continue creating an environment where all students feel safe and feel like they belong. I love this saying by Maya Angelou. Hate, it has caused a lot of problems in this world, but it has not solved one yet. I'm so excited about this. We are starting a book study, all 3 middle schools. It is Better Learning Through Structured Teaching. It's a book by Douglas Fisher and Nancy Frey. It's the framework for gradual release of responsibility. The exciting part is I already have a book for you. So if you want to come up this summer and get a copy so you can go ahead and begin to read it, there will be direct accountability tied to all of us reading it, and there will be direct accountability to all of us creating a product based upon our reading. So if you want to begin reading it early, you're welcome to come get one. This book will be used by you. You can mark in it. You can write your notes in it. It will become property of the district, but I want you to be able to feel like you can mark in it and mark your notes on it. But I want you also to know that you're welcome to get it early so that you can begin to study any of it that you want. It begins to talk about how we divide instruction into 4 components. It's all about focused instruction in the classroom. Everything we do has to be deliberate. It's about engaging all of us. And one of our goals, Mr. Purser, Ms. Cantu, and mine, is to make sure that we're in your classrooms a lot more this upcoming school year, that we'll be engaging you and your students through walkthroughs and conversations about the learning that's taking place in your classrooms, that we'll be working with you to help implement research-based best practices on all of our instructional approaches, that we consistently look for ways of embedded professional development so that we can make sure learning springs out, jumps out, that everybody here is excited about learning to the best of our ability, and that if a student fails, it better be because they chose. It better not be because of us. If a student fails, it better be in spite of us, in spite of our efforts, not because we didn't give the student what he or she deserved. It's about blending learning, working together between the contents, working together to create ideas that are different, to help students see the relevance between science and social studies and math and language arts and writing. It's about exploring things like this, a flipped classroom. What can you do differently to help students learn? It's about BYOD, connecting students to their world. It's about anything we can to help students learn. It's about when we walk in a classroom, we're willing to look in and see something untraditional happening. That we don't walk in a classroom and see just rows, that we see creative thought processes established, and that teachers are facilitating the learning, not controlling the learning. It's about a constant cycle of feedback, and that we're responsive teachers. It's about balancing our tradition with innovation to make sure that we're really teaching students the way we're supposed to teach them. It's about learning. And I know after we've done all this, there will be a whole lot to sing about. And then you'll have a whole lot more fun thinking about your vacations because you've had so many amazing successes with all the things that we're going to implement this upcoming school year.